I've been asked about the new perspective on Paul. Boy, that's a complicated subject. And what I'm going to say today about the new perspective relates to justification. Now, new perspective has several issues they're interested in, but the one that I'm going to talk about today is justification. And they use the word new perspective as opposed to the old perspective, which would be the traditional Protestant perspective of justification. So the new perspective on Paul is saying the old perspective's wrong. We have a new perspective. Now, it's in the scholarly world, and there's fights in the scholarly world about it, but it's filtering down into mainline churches, at least to the ministers of the mainline churches, and it's getting into the evangelical world, and that's why it's become an important issue. RTS, conservative Reformed theology, the historic creeds are all against new perspective. But I haven't really explained, so what is the new perspective? Let me give a shot at it. Again, it's pretty technical. What is the new perspective on Paul? To understand the new perspective on Paul, you have to understand they have two new perspectives. The first one is a new perspective about Jewish background issues, about the Judaism of Paul's day. And then they take that new view and then they build upon it their second new perspective, which is about Paul. So what is the new perspective about Judaism that they have? Okay, their view is that legalistic works righteousness did not exist in the first century. No Jewish groups had this view. And again, the traditional Protestant view is that Paul was arguing against legalistic works righteousness. And legalistic works righteousness is just a view that you get to heaven, at least partially, if not fully, by your works. And therefore, when they go to Paul, they say, if Paul, which on the surface it looks like he's arguing against works righteousness, when he says justified by grace, not justified by works, it looks like he's arguing against works righteousness. But since works righteousness didn't exist, he couldn't have been arguing against it. And if he wasn't arguing against it, then the reformers, the traditional Protestant view is wrong, because the traditional Protestant view says get to heaven, so to speak, by two options. One, works righteousness, but due to sin we can't do that. That's opposed to get to heaven by grace or the work of Christ and putting our faith in that. Justified by grace, justified by the work of Christ, justified by faith. So the new perspective is unified on there was no works righteousness in Judaism, and the second point, Paul was not arguing against it. Therefore, the traditional view of Reformed Protestantism, of evangelical Protestantism, Lutheran Protestantism is all wrong about justification. So what did Paul mean by justification? And their view is he meant that if you're justified, it simply means you're a member of the church. Sometimes they'll attach it to you're a member of the covenant. You're just a member of the covenant. Even though justification, you may think, means declared righteous, no, it just means you're part of the church. And you initially join the church by faith. And of course, that's good, join by faith. But you stay in partially by faith and works. And in fact, they have final justification. At the end, you are justified, they explicitly say, based on, at least partially, your works. The traditional Protestant view, no, justification means you're declared righteous. But where did I get my righteousness? Was it my own righteousness? No, it was the righteousness of Christ, then legally given to me and accepted through faith. That's a traditional Protestant view. The New Perspective view, no, it just simply means you're a member of the church, and the final justification, you will be partially admitted into heaven based on your works and not based on the imputed righteousness of Christ.